States have degenerated into a personal feud between President Clinton and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In a climate of unusual animosity between Israel and its principal ally, officials in Jerusalem complained Israel was being treated like a banana republic. Clinton, apparently unconvinced that Israel is pursuing peace with the Palestinians, refused to meet Netanyahu during his visit to the United States last week. The extraordinary snub was plain to see when the president found time to meet Shimon Peres, Netanyahu's predecessor, and King Hussein of Jordan. Asked whether he felt humiliated, Netanyahu told CNN on Wednesday, "All insults are directed to the office of the Prime Minister of the State of Israel, and the entire Jewish state feels humiliated by such actions against us." Netanyahu said a meeting was certainly not something that Israel has to pay for, and added, "It's unbecoming. It doesn't benefit nations who are allies. It doesn't befit nations who are not allies. And I believe the United States probably would agree with me if they thought about it." In a private conversation with the American Jewish leader, Netanyahu recently said he was being treated like Saddam Hussein by Clinton. One reason for the rift is the failing peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians, which has made it more difficult for Clinton to muster Arab support in the confrontation with Iraq.
So they got ticks now. They remember, Lyme disease?
Yes.
Pretty clear that was another one of these COVID things where they engineered it as a bioweapon. And then ticks have it, and then they bite you, and then you get Lyme disease. Well, they got a new one where the tick bite. Remember Dylan Ratigan?
Yeah.
Is this was that a secret that he said? So that wasn't a secret, right? I think he said it to us on. Anyway, I know somebody who got bit by a tick, and it gives you an allergy to red meat. So if you eat, so the problem is you don't know you have it until after you've eaten it, and it takes a couple of hours, and then you almost die. So this guy almost died, and he found out that he was bitten by a tick that gave him this allergic reaction to red meat. So now he can never eat red meat for the rest of his life. Isn't that wild? So Dr. Ben Braddock says ticks are spreading a disease that makes people allergic to red meat. Some farmers and ranchers who get it can't even go near their own livestock. Every week I hear of more cases near me. The federal government needs to treat this with much more urgency. This is real. This is real. This is a real thing. So, and look at this. Bill Gates funded research into genetically engineered cattle ticks. Now, 450,000 Americans have red meat allergies from alpha-gal syndrome. That's a real thing. Alpha-gal syndrome caused by tick bites. Did Bill Gates do this? Look, ask Rock. Did he fund research into genetically engineered cattle ticks? Did he do that? There it is. You can tell the tick that has this because it has the one spot on its back.
No kidding.
Yeah. So what happened? His bio mosquitoes didn't work out? Remind me how meat hurts the planet again. Is it by making people physically stronger than Bill Gates? So here, this is an actual guy talking about this. This is from 2016. Mike Benz tweeted this out. At 2016 World Science Festival, this is a guy named Dr. Matthew Lau. He's a philosopher and a bioethicist. You're going to hear just how unbioethicist he is. He's openly discussing using genetic engineering of humans to address climate change. You want to hear what he says? So, by the way, I don't... Okay. Here we go.
Examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption of...
According to who? According to who? I mean, the people who've been wrong about everything? The people who said that cholesterol was bad and fat was bad? You mean those people? The people who said... Remember the people who said smoking was good for you? 4 out of 5 doctors choose Camel. Who's saying this?
Examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption of meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But
it would help the planet. Not really? So only cows emit methane? Because that's what they're talking about. Cows fart, and then there's methane. Doesn't every animal in the world fart? Is it just cows? You're telling me that deer don't fart and buffalo don't fart? You're telling me that rats, and what are you talking about? So that sounds like another, to me, it's like until you say, like, oh, I never questioned it before. Then I'm like, wait a minute, just cows are emitting methane? Really? Not my dog farts up a storm. So how many pets are there? How many domesticated dogs are there? What about raccoons? What about squirrels? Just cows? Really? Didn't seem like anybody cared about methane releases when they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, which is the biggest release of methane into the atmosphere in the world. So this guy's sure that we eat too much meat, according to who, and of course that's bad for the climate, according to who.
Examples. So one is that people eat too much meat. Right.
But wait till you get the good part's coming. I know I shouldn't have stopped it, but here we go.
And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So,
oh, you're one of those? You're one of those people who just doesn't have the willpower to stop eating meat? Okay. Are you going to test these ticks on yourself then, I guess? Let's see.
But so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins.
He's literally saying in 2016 on a panel with a microphone and a camera, he's saying, hey, maybe we can make some people allergic to red meat. This guy's a bioethicist saying, hey, let's just go make people allergic to red meat. Let's mess with their biology. Let's just do it. That's what he's saying on a panel.
There's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems.
So that's what we could do. We could just make people allergic to food, to real food. And how do you? And if society collapses, guys like him are going to be the first ones to revert to cannibalism. Hey, we could just do that. We just make people sick. This is what he's saying.
Human engineering.
So this is describing what that guy did. He was evidently openly plotting to trigger a potentially very serious allergic disease in humans without their consent at the population level, which is ethically repugnant. Especially since researchers have found that worldwide meat intake is associated with a longer life. So, am I wrong, or did it sound like that guy's like, hey, we can just make people allergic to it? You think people are going to consent to that? No. So, of course, what he's talking about is doing it against their will. Right now, Bill Gates is releasing mosquitoes all over the place. And they're supposed to be, it's like, oh, they're going to give you they're going to vaccinate you. Hey, I didn't consent to this. So what they're doing is genetically modifying the mosquitoes. And then the mosquitoes bite you. And then something good is supposed to happen. They're already doing this. So animal-based foods, and especially meat, are vital for growth, development, mental function, and a long life. We know that genetically engineered mosquito. Now, I'm against factory farming. That factory farming is an evil. And the fact that we've allowed factory farming to take over family farms is evil. And so, don't get me wrong. I'm for the ethical treatment of cows and all animals. And I don't even eat pigs, just because, they're probably smarter than dogs, and I wouldn't eat a dog. And so anyway, but we know that genetically engineered mosquitoes have already been released in Florida and Texas. And there are plans to release more in California against the wishes of many residents and like me. There's no informed consent for populations being exposed to this massive experiment. Just like when they're going to block out the sun, well, they're already doing it. We already know they're doing it all over. There's no informed consent to the chemtrail stuff they're doing and blocking out the sun. That's already confirmed shit. Some researchers have referred to these mosquitoes as small flying syringes. Yeah. And I know, but my Hollywood friends are going to say Bill Gates is only doing this to try to help you. We just don't know how to listen. What does this one do? It fights climate change by making you allergic to meat. See how they can use climate change? And then only the good people will have access to travel and to meat. They're doing it. So Ben Braddock says, well, somebody asked him, what should we do? What should happen? He said, well, they should come clean about everything. Declassify all records pertaining to engineering ticks as bioweapon vectors. They should create a Manhattan Project level effort to eradicate all ticks from the ecosystem. I don't know. Ticks must serve some kind of purpose. But this is from the curious case of the spreading red meat allergy. A rare meat allergy from tick bites is rising and may have already impacted as many as almost 500,000 people, says the CDC. The CDC says this, who adds that now there is a steep increase in cases of alpha-gal syndrome, AGS. AGS, they claim, has been traced to the saliva from the Lone Star tick and their blood-sucking bites, which can make a person sick when they consume certain meat and animal products made from mammals. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, red meat allergies caused by certain types of ticks is an emerging public health concern that was invented as a bioweapon, I'll guarantee you. But I can't prove. AGS is a serious and potentially life-threatening allergic reaction to a type of sugar found in most mammals called alpha-gal. A bite from a Lone Star tick can transfer alpha-gal into the body by a non-oral route, thereby priming the body to launch an immune response whenever the sugar is subsequently eaten. So it's an autoimmune. They create an which is, I'm pretty sure, a lot like what killed you during COVID and Lyme disease, stuff like that. It's your own body reacting to it. Abloma americanum, Lone Star tick. The Lone Star tick is found across the southeastern and eastern United States, as well as Mexico and parts of Canada. The Lone Star name is due to the tick having a single spot on its back, but it's also known as the northeastern water tick or the turkey tick. Well, that's nice. I'm glad it has lots of different names. AGS symptoms can range from mild to severe and include a rash, hives, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, shortness of breath, stomach pain, and heartburn. The burden of alpha-gal syndrome in the United States could be substantial given the large percentage of cases suspected to be going undiagnosed due to nonspecific and inconsistent symptoms. Really? Hey, ask your doctor if being bitten by a genetically altered tick is right for you. There is a lack of clinical awareness amongst doctors, but if AGS is suspected, there is a blood test that looks for specific antibodies. A CDC survey found that 42% of the 1,500 U.S. healthcare professionals had never heard of AGS, and 35% they were not too confident in their ability to diagnose it. Only 5% they were very confident. Between 2010 and 2022, about 110,000 cases have been officially diagnosed, but the true number of cases has been as high as 450,000. A new breed of pig called gal-safe pigs have been genetically engineered to eliminate alpha-gal so that those suffering from AGS will be able to enjoy pork chops and bacon once again. I'm sure there'll be no other side effects from doing that with a pig. Why make genetically altered life forms? Simply because then you own it. It wasn't made by nature. It was modified by you, and that gives you the rights to it. So you create a thing that you can't eat or it'll kill you, but now I've created a new thing that you can eat that I now own the patent on. Sounds like Dr. Evil shit. Sounds exactly what Bill Gates would do. This ties in nicely with the globalist agenda to own and control everything that we eat. Given the anti-red meat propaganda of recent years, AGS does appear to be the most politically convenient food allergy of all time. Perhaps our would-be masters would prefer us all to be physically weak, cognitively weak, emotionally unstable, low in testosterone, chronically ill, and dependent on their patented food supply chains. Sounds like it. Sounds like it. I mean, if I was a crazy conspiracy theorist, you know, like, and think of a crazy conspiracy, how did Woody Harrelson put it? That they created a virus in a lab that if infected, and that you had to lock down inside your place, and you had to take a drug that was made by this cartel that invented the thing in the first place, and you couldn't leave your house or travel or go to work unless you took their drug, and you had to keep taking it over. Sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory that actually came true. Okay. Over to Steph.
All right. Lime was engineered at Plum Island, according to Surkov. This has to be biotech, bonzo beans. Mass starvation for depopulation, Gale Seeker. I bet he can eat fake meat, though. Truth-seeking peace. High-speed rail, where end-stage capitalism and mid-stage communism conflict. Oh, that's from Ardeen W. Oh, let's give a gong, shall we? Hold on. I checked Amtrak from New York City to LA back in 2019 for a one-way trip. It costs at least $1,000. The ride takes 4 to 5 days, and you are not able to have a dog for more than a 4-hour trip.
It depends on
Vegan Z. Back to Jimmy.
It depends on what time of year you go. It depends on what time of year you go. So prices fluctuate. And it depends on if you take there's a 48-hour trip and then there's a 68-hour trip. If you want to take the longer trip, that costs more. So there's different costs, but the low end is $400. The high end is like $1,200 or something like that. Yeah. So it fluctuates. So that I'm not saying that person's wrong. I'm just saying there's more. I have to put it in, as they say at YouTube, I have to give context.
Oh, thank you for the context, Jim.
You're
Much
welcome.
appreciated. Thank you, Vegan Z.
So here, let me show you this.
Back to Jim.